So on Sunday, as I prepared for our presence practice, these three antidotes showed themselves to us, to myself. They're very new to me, so I'll probably get a little hung up on them. That the antidote to fear is love, and we have been exposed to that previously. And that the antidote to suffering is belonging. That one's a little, interesting. And then the antidote to confusion is wonder. So those are the three words that are tattooed here on my arm, the ones that will travel with me for the rest of my life. And these are my three guides slash antidotes: love, wonder, and belonging. So the antidote to suffering is belonging. Let me read a little bit about suffering from the book, The Grace in Dying by Kathleen Singh. So the first noble truth is the truth of suffering and that we all suffer. And then the second noble truth is the truth of the origin of suffering, where our suffering comes from. We recognize that the development of the mental ego is a normal and necessary stage in the unfolding of human consciousness. It is also a stage each of us eventually needs to outgrow or cast aside so that further unfolding can occur. The mental ego, as we all can bear witness, is a place where it is easy to get stuck, to get lost. It is the belief in the reality of the separate self that is the origin of suffering. It is the belief in the reality of the separate self that is the origin of suffering. It is the desires, both to have and to avoid, rising in the ego, the personal sense of self, that are the cause of human suffering. Desire both strengthens the belief in the mental ego and causes it pain. The origin of suffering is in the thought, I am separate. The origin of suffering is in the thought, I am separate. And if you'll notice that sense of having the thought or the belief, I am separate, how very, very close that is to I am alone. I am alone in my suffering. Because I am alone, I have to fix my suffering, etc. So I'm going to invite us to begin to explore this word, but we're not as interested in the word as in the feeling, the experience that it brings up in us of belonging. Belonging. So let's notice, first of all, if I say that word and we drop down into our bodies and feel that word, belonging. And interesting that we don't have to come up with the definition for belonging. We can trust that our body will teach and show us what belonging feels like in the physical part of our being. So I'm asking for brave volunteers, maybe a couple of people, to share what belonging feels like in your physical being.
Well, what I notice in my body is that I am grounded in on with this earth. And the earth right now is a chair and a house on the ground, on the land. So it's this connection. So I'm grounded and connected in the body. And yeah.
You belong to the ground, you belong to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
What I notice is a sensation of undefended ease, that there's no need for defenses, that if there's a place of belonging, there's a sense of just ease and no need for protection or being defended.
Mm. So, an undefended ease, we can also add to that openness. Openness immediately will take us to a place of connection as we move through our life, our days. So now feeling that word belonging in your heart, and maybe noticing your own deep desire for connection, for oneness, your deep desire not to be alone, not to be feel that experience of separateness. What does the word belonging feel like in your heart? For me, I'm feeling a little ache. I'm feeling the ache that I feel when my heart is kind of stretching out and reaching towards something. And it's telling me that I still don't quite get it, that I already completely belong and that I'm not alone in all of this. And yet there's a sweetness to that reaching out, some sort of trust that I'm reaching towards something beautiful. Anyone else? What does belong feel like in your heart?
Interesting that you would say that. I was thinking of a child, or being a child, and then opening my arms for a hug, and then just immediately receiving it, uh, just being welcomed by an embrace.
Mm. And what you're sharing there, I feel a real like gathering in that the universe itself or the ground of being constantly gathering me back in. And then immediately there's a sense of rest as I'm gathered in.
When I first went to my heart, went from feeling very relaxed to kind of anxious, and I focused on that word longing, and then I focused on the be, and that
Mhm.
peace came back with breathing in the be, and that's I kind of think the longing word in my heart was giving me the anxiousness, and when I just settled in, it went right back to very peacefully and relaxed.
So we'll be continuing to look at these three antidotes over the next few weeks. And let's enter our presence practice now. And invite us to take a breath in together. And as we let that breath out, just feeling your body settling into your seat. Maybe watch your shoulders relax and drop down. Your belly let go of any tension. And then taking another breath in, imagining that you are a drop of water. And with the out breath, just allow yourself to fall down into an ocean of love, becoming one with that ocean. No more separateness, completely belonging to love. And one more breath in. And as you let that one out, recognizing the truth that you are love, inseparable from the ocean of love. This is the reality. Our ego minds have convinced us that it is not, and that we are separate. But here we reclaim the reality that we belong. So I invite you now to simply notice your own experience, and whatever you notice, in whatever part of your being, naming it silently to yourself. This is our first step into presence. The simple fact of knowing what our experience is means we're here now. And we deepen that experience now by turning to the body and letting the body bring us even more fully into this moment. All we have to do is to notice our feet. And our lower legs. Our upper legs. And our hips. We notice our pelvis. Our belly. Our chest. And our heart. We notice our shoulders. Our arms. And our hands. We notice our back starting way down at the tailbone. We follow the spine upward to include all the muscles, the rib cage, the scapula, and the neck. And then noticing the scalp and the face. And then we notice ourselves as one whole physical being. Here now in the shape that is you, taking up the space that you take up. And we feel gratitude to the body. We thank the body as it holds us so that we can give our attention now to our inner experience. So remaining aware of the body, we begin to also attend to our hearts. Today I'm just going to drop that word belonging into your heart. And then notice how the heart receives it. And how belonging affects the heart. And to notice if there's anything in the heart that fears belonging. If something does arise, recalling that the antidote to fear is love. So letting love flood the heart. And becoming aware of yourself as spirit as aliveness and energy and flow. See if you can tap into that part of your being. And offer the word belonging to your spirit. And what happens? Lastly, noticing your mind. It is generally often the mind that gets us into trouble, that convinces us that we are separate, that we are alone. Rarely reminds us of how we belong. So letting the mind this moment bring us this positive message that we already belong. There's nothing we need to do to belong. There's nothing that we did that got us kicked out of belonging. We belong because we are loved. So experiencing yourself now as body, as part of ourselves, belongs in and to the world and the earth, the earthy part of us. Feel yourself as body, heart, spirit, and mind. This is your presence. And now deepening the way we notice how we belong to the earth. We notice the way the earth is holding us by the force of gravity. And because we belong to the earth, we can trust it to hold us here. And because we trust, we can begin to relax. When we belong, we can begin to let go. And then we notice our breath. We watch it as our chest rises as the air flows in. And as the chest falls, as the air goes back out again. And we might marvel a little bit at how preciously, perfectly our breath comes and goes. And we let the breath teach us how to let go. Generally, we cling very tightly to belonging. We grasp at what we think makes us belong or means we belong. But in this receiving and letting go, there is nothing that we have to cling to. Just like love, belonging is always here. We have always belonged to one another. We have always belonged to love. So following the out-breath now, really feeling what it's like when the out-breath lets go. And then following that breath all the way out, allowing it to let go, whatever needs to be let go, and coming to rest in a space of simple being in love. Noticing how suffering does not exist here. Noticing how separation does not exist in this space of simple being. And there's no work that we have to do to find belonging. Only work is to rest. Thank you so much for practicing with me and supporting my own practice. I love you all.